that cloud coming into Northern Ireland heralds something of a change into next week. Weather fronts bringing cloud and some showers, but also coming up from the south. So after a cold few days, it does look milder next week.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
It's 7 o'clock on Friday. The weekend is here, people. Sit back, relax and enjoy. Pour yourself a large G&T. Grab your nuts, whatever you like to do, because this is Friday Night Feast. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's going to be a massive one this evening. Yes, we've got 2 hours of lively debate and the best guests, and I promise we'll have a few laughs along the way. Between now and 9 o'clock, we'll be joined by a genuine TV legend and also a former Coronation Street villain. On the eve of the Grand National as well, we'll debate whether or not horse racing should be banned. We've got a Grand National winning jockey on for that. And, of course, there's the latest edition of Challenge Christys. Yes, there we go. So that's what we've all been about. As you can see there, I'm way out of my depth. But there's a little sneaking suspicion here of something else for you. I promise you, you're not going to want to miss this. This is a proper challenge, and we've got loads of that to come. There's going to be a few surprises along the way, let me tell you. Now, yes, it's what you've all been waiting for, of course. It was me with the Dreamboys, and we'll try to rehome a dog in our popular feature, Dog of the Week. Could you be lucky enough to get the gorgeous Cherry a forever home? Yet again, there's a few twists in the tail with Cherry. Yeah, OK, see what I did there? But fingers crossed, we can find Cherry a forever home. We're also going to meet this week's national treasure and take a look at the best social media videos of the last 7 days. But first, here are the latest headlines brought to you this evening by Bethany Elsey.
Thanks, Patrick. Good evening. I am Bethany Elsey in the GB newsroom. The UK is sending a further £100 million worth of high-grade military equipment to Ukraine's armed forces. The announcement follows a Russian rocket attack which killed at least 50 people, including 5 children in eastern Ukraine. More than 100 others were injured when a railway station in the city of Kramatorsk was targeted. 2 missiles struck as people were trying to evacuate the area. One had the words "for the children" painted on it. The Kremlin denies any involvement in the attack. Boris Johnson says evidence of war crimes are mounting and Ukraine's allies are doing more to help the country.
Today I can announce that the UK will send a further £100 million worth of high-grade military equipment to Ukraine's armed forces. including more Starstreak anti-aircraft missiles, which fly at 3 times the speed of sound, another 800 anti-tank missiles, and precision munitions capable of lingering in the sky until directed to their target.
The Chancellor has admitted he held a US green card while in office. Rishi Sunak became Chancellor in February 2020, but held the permanent residency card until around October. He says it was returned after he sought guidance and that he followed all laws and rules and paid taxes in full. He's been under growing pressure after it emerged that his multi-millionaire wife, Akshata Murthy, holds non-dom status, which exempts her from paying tax on foreign income. The man who killed Sabina Nessa has been sentenced to life in prison and must serve at least 36 years. Kochi Salamaj from Eastbourne, who pleaded guilty to murder, attacked the school teacher in a park in southeast London last September. The judge said it was cowardly for Salamaj to refuse to attend his sentencing, but said he had no power to force him. Dame Cressida Dick says she will reflect on what more she could have done during her time as Met Police Commissioner. She was cheered and applauded by a large crowd of officers and staff outside Scotland Yard ahead of her last day on the job this weekend. She quit in early February after London Mayor Sadiq Khan said he lost confidence in her. And the Queen has pulled out of the annual Royal Maundy Church service. It's the first time Her Majesty, who's been experiencing mobility issues, will miss the event. She'll be represented by Prince Charles, who will attend the service at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle next Thursday. On TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick.
Happy Friday, everybody. It can mean only one thing. That's right, it's time for Friday Night Feast. A mixture of light and shade, some laughter, but some serious topics as well. So, let's crack on. Integration into British culture by certain sections of the Islamic community has long been a contentious issue. Huge amounts of immigration at a rapid rate has led some to think that their area has changed irreversibly. Other people, of course, celebrate this as a sign of diversity and multiculturalism. But the hijab, or the headscarf, and the burqa is probably the most visible expression of religious dress and tradition. The burqa certainly, anyway, is seen by many as a barrier to integration. I've always been in favour of religious expression from any religion, frankly. My view is that if we want to be OK with people wearing a crucifix or a Jewish kippah, then I suppose it has to be fine, doesn't it, for women to wear the full veil or the headscarf in public. My concerns about this, though, are: do women feel like they want to wear the burqa or that they're pressured into it? The idea of dressing modestly is fine, of course it is, but why is it that some women are supposed to cover up head to toe? Does that say more about the men than it does about anything else? Various human rights organisations point to many Islamic countries being very male-dominated, that women are treated as second-class citizens, and that it can be used as a device for male control. You only have to go on websites like Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International to see that the appalling state of women's rights in many Middle Eastern countries around the world is plain for all to see. The reason I'm raising this point tonight is simple. I'm sure many of you have strong views about whether or not the burqa should be legal, and I want to hear from you on that. But it's also because French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen has said she wants to fine anyone who's seen wearing a headscarf in public. So not simply the burqa, but the headscarf as well. It's important to have a bit of context, really, when it comes to France. Now, France has actually already banned obvious religious symbols in schools, full face coverings in public. But it's not that unusual, you know. You may be surprised by how many countries have banned the burqa or headscarf. Belgium, the epicentre of the EU, banned full face coverings, a rule that was actually upheld by the European Court of Human Rights. Switzerland, Denmark, Austria, Sri Lanka, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Chad, Gabon, they've all outlawed it. So my question for you tonight is this: if you could ban the burqa, would you? And why? Yeah, GBViews at gbnews.uk. I'm really genuinely fascinated to hear from you on this one. What do you think? So, obviously, you found out what I think about it, but to discuss this subject, I'm joined now by the broadcaster Imam Ajmal Masroor. Thank you so much for joining me. Is it racist to ban the burqa?
It isn't racist, but it does smell of some sort of control some people are trying to impose on women in the name of liberty and freedom. If a Muslim woman wants to wear a headscarf, let her wear a headscarf. What's the big deal? To suggest that people who are educated, professionals, doctors, engineers, neurosurgeons, people who are at the top of their political careers in their life's successes, who choose to wear a headscarf, are somehow being imposed a particular clothing, I think it's preposterous. You come and speak to my wife. She will give you a thumping and resounding telling off if you ever suggest that I've imposed anything on her. Come and speak to my daughter, who is 16. She will tell you if anybody says that I or anybody else has imposed this headscarf on her, they have made that choice by themselves. So the idea that it should be banned, I think it sounds silly and stupid, to say to be polite.
I've got no doubt about your wife and daughter's testimony, not for 1 second. However, unfortunately, there are numerous reports, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, of many Muslim countries where actually there are huge issues with women's rights. There are huge issues with female oppression. And in a lot of those countries, the burqa, therefore, is commonplace. So can you understand why some people might see the burqa as a form of male domination over women?
I can understand that particular sentiment, but the same people don't understand those governments and countries that we're talking about. If we take Saudi Arabia as an example, it's probably one of the worst examples of a Muslim society ever living in the modern world. It's run by dictators and despots. It is the only country that has cut to pieces, murdered a journalist in a foreign country in its embassy. I've never heard of that before. Is the only country that has imposed many outrageous ban on women, violates human rights every day. But guess what? We as British people, Europe as a whole, America as an entire continent and country, we still do great business with the Saudi royal family. We allow them to come to our countries to buy houses, buy businesses, football clubs. We buy oil for them. We run to their doorstep when we need it. If we're going to support dictators and despots on one hand, and when these dictators and despots abuse human rights and impose things on them, we then blame Islam for it. We're being hypocritical. Stop supporting dictators and despots in the
Well, I understand, but I think the arms trade to Saudi Arabia is not really what I'm focusing on this evening. It's more about the headscarf, the hijab, I do a news show 10 till 12 every single day called To the Point, where I do regularly focus on things like that. I've been very vocal, for example, of our interaction in the Middle East, our meddling in the Middle East. So that's fair enough. I have covered those things. Today is about the burqa and it is about the headscarf, and I want to know, why don't men cover up head to toe?
Well, I'm asking you the same question. Who is imposing it on those people? Ordinary citizens are being imposed a particular value system. In those Muslim countries, it's been imposed by dictators and despots who are our friends. So we can't really The second point you've made, look, people's cultural expressions we have to respect. If Jewish people want to wear a kippah, welcome. If a Christian nun wants to wear a headscarf, welcome. If somebody wants to wear a face covering as a cultural expression, remember, face covering as a cultural expression predates any Islamic practices that began in Arabia 1400 years ago. In fact, face covering was a sub-Saharan culture way, way into thousands of years ago, because people had to protect themselves from sand and the sun's ferocious heat. So those cultural expressions, we can't just simply ban because we don't like them in Europe. It's really outrageous that we should even suggest it. What we should have is dialogue. We should have respect.
Well, okay, I agree. I agree with you. We should have dialogue and respect, but that's a really important point, isn't it? Because with respect, if a woman is wearing a full head-to-toe burqa and walking past me in the streets or stood next to me in the queue at Lidl or Aldi or wherever, it is a barrier to integration, isn't it? It's hard to have a conversation.
Well, you have been walking around with a face mask for the last 2 years.
That's
it
true.
didn't stop me.
That's true. That's true. But that is true, absolutely. And I think I'm going to bring in my panel. I'm going to bring in my panel very shortly. And certainly I know one of them's making the same point. And so I do understand that. But look, people have been walking around with burqas. People have been walking around with burqas for a lot longer, to be fair, Imam. So talk to me about that now.
But look, I'm without being facetious, the truth is, face covering doesn't stop us from integrating. What stops us from integrating is suspicion. It's the us and them attitude. It's the othering of your neighbors. We're all the same. We're human after all. Doesn't matter what color, religion, and background you come from. We all want the same. We want peace and happiness. We want love and affection. That's very normal. What clothes you wear doesn't determine whether you are going to be kind and gentle with me, or whether you're going to be courteous and generous with me. What matters is my courtesy, my behavior, my morals. I think we need to increase more of that and not really focus on this frivolous discussion about clothing.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure to have you on. We'll have to have you back on at some point soon. Really, really enjoyed that. Great way to kickstart the show. Imam Ajmal Masroor. Well, look, your views have been flooding in. GB Views, GBNews.uk. I've got them in front of me here, and it has popped off. But with me until 9 p.m. are the beautiful Vanity Von Glow and the outspoken and sometimes contentious Richard Taylor, or Sir Richard Taylor, as his Twitter bio will tell you. Well, look, I know it's a very contentious issue. Oh, look, I'll start with you, Vanity. What, do you care about the idea of banning a burqa or anything like that? You don't really mind?
Well, I find myself in staunch agreement with the Imam that I have a reflexive discomfort with the idea of banning clothing that makes other people uncomfortable.
I can understand
and that might be obvious. And I don't think, I mean, it's interesting because this was a debate I remember having all the time 15 years ago when it was the hot topic in France. Marine Le Pen's proposal to me is quite absurd. The idea of criminal charges or fines for people who are wearing garments that she doesn't like. So I'm opposed to bans like that.
Fair enough, absolutely. Richard, bring you in.
Yeah, well, I think the UK is one of the most diverse countries in the world, and let's be honest.
Absolutely.
We allow the expression of religion, and we should, and it should be about choice. Let people choose. If they want to wear a burqa or a scarf, let them do it. If it's part of their religious expression, let them do it. But it has to be proportionate, because I remember an airline banning some of their staff wearing crosses on their necks, their Christian expression.
Yep.
Do you remember that? So it needs to be balanced across the whole spectrum. But I think, we are one of the most diverse countries in the world, and we love all the different faiths, different religions. Let them practice here. And I think integration's a big part for them. And them integrating, it's not the clothes that they wear, it's the people that they are. If they're contributing to society and they're working hard in their communities, whatever their religion, that's what matters the most, not the fact that they're wearing a burqa or a crucifix or, whatever the Jewish...
the kippah,
But, that's what's most important in my opinion. And don't forget, we've been mandated to wear masks for the last 2 years. The face nappy on our faces. Like, listen, it's up to them. It's the choice. It's got to be down to personal choice.
I agree with both of those sentiments actually completely. And I think, as you touched on your point, Vanity, as well, the idea of just banning things. Boris Johnson is a topic we're going to talk about later, by the way, that he couldn't and wouldn't rule out another lockdown. We'll get stuck into that a bit later on. But it is a bit of a push to more authoritarianism, and we need to live and let live a bit, do we?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm an arch live and let liver. That's very much, I think that's one of the beautiful things about the UK, as you say. It's one of the beautiful things about the European countries that I love to visit as well.
Just very quickly, because I'm getting shouted at already, not going to be the last time this evening, don't get me wrong. Have you ever actually spoken to a woman in a burqa? Because I've got to be honest with you, I haven't, and I suspect that had I not been wearing the burqa, I probably would have done.
It's actually a good point, but the simple answer is no, because culturally in Wales, where I live in the valley, certainly, there's a small proportion of Muslims, and it's the centres like Cardiff and stuff like that, so I haven't. But I would.
No, it's not to me. It's got nothing to do with me about not talking to someone because they're wearing a burqa. It's just, for me, sometimes it can be a physical barrier, and that's that. But, hey, there we go. Anyway.
Just to say, I have several and countless times. And, as with everybody, you have to develop a unique way of communicating with every individual. I see people dressed in all sorts of unusual ways in the nightclub industry as well.
I can imagine. Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, we're off to an absolute flyer here, ladies and gentlemen, aren't we? Keep these views coming in, GB Views at GBNews.uk. I do really want to hear what you have to say about this issue. Look, I was asking, in light of what Marine Le Pen is saying, I know she's talking about headscarves, but let's expand on that a little bit. Would you ban the burqa? Why, if you would? Why not? Of course. But anyway, you can also tweet me at GB News, and I'll read out a selection of your comments throughout the evening. Up next, though, it's our big debate as we discuss whether or not horse racing in light of the Grand Nationals tomorrow should be banned. Hello, everybody. Patrick Christys here, back out and about again for GB News. It's that time of the week where I find out what the British public, really think about a proper burning issue. This week, well, It's the Grand National tomorrow, isn't it? A spectacular event. People go, they have a good laugh, they spend their money. Sometimes they make their money. Women wear high heels and short skirts and get stuck in the grass so the Daily Mail can take pictures of them. You love to see it. But there's a more important point here. 29 horses have died at Aintree since 2010. And I want to know whether or not the British public think horse racing is a cruel, outdated practice. Let's find out.
I like it.
Fine. Yeah, good. Why? What about it?
Well, it's exciting, isn't it? And I think the horses generally like it.
Not into it, sorry.
Why not, though?
Just never got into it. It's not my kind of thing.
Think it's cruel?
I don't really have an opinion on it. I guess as long as the horses are happy and treated well, then...
No, I think it's been going on for thousands of years. They've done it since the ancient Egyptian times. You know, we know what we're doing. We know how to keep them safe.
It's each to their own. I think there's so much sad stuff going on in the world right now with Ukraine that, sadly, if someone gets enjoyment of horse racing, as long as the horse is treated okay and fairly.
You never watch it even just at home? You can't bring yourself to watch it?
No.
Why not? Just because you don't want to see them fall?
Because I don't want to see one fall. I had a bet on one year and that one died, so I don't want another bet.
Same.
I don't watch it and I won't get involved in it at all. I don't think it's cruel necessarily, but it's not my thing.
In terms of the welfare, obviously it's not ideal, but ultimately I think the reason why it happens is because there seems to be a bit of a majority that want it to happen.
Well, there we go, people. Yet another totally scientific and deeply representative survey of the public mood there. Basically, most people are in favour of horse racing, aren't they? And I think that's interesting to note. Where do you stand on this? GBViews at gbnews.uk. When we come back, we're going to be going head-to-head. We're going to be going toe-to-toe, or should I say hoof-to-hoof, on this very issue with our big debate. Stay tuned, people. I'll be back shortly.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Tomorrow from 10 a.m, get set for a GB News exclusive interview with Prime Minister Boris Johnson as 2 of his most rebellious MPs put him on the spot. Brexit, COVID, and now the reality of war. How does the Prime Minister look back on the past 2 years? And what can he say about having been so close to death?
I then had a pretty groggy night and went down even lower.
An exclusive interview with Prime Minister Boris Johnson tomorrow from 10 a.m. on GB News.
Yes, big interview that. You're not going to want to miss it. But welcome back to Friday Night Feast. Now, tomorrow is a huge day in British horse racing, frankly, in the British sporting calendar. For the first time in 3 years, the Grand National will take place in front of actual fans at Aintree. A sellout crowd of 75,000 will be at the course for one of the world's most famous races. And it's thought that £150 million will be gambled across the UK. But while millions of people will be watching on TV, the Grand National also has many critics. Since 2000, 13 horses have died during the race. We claim to be a nation of animal lovers, but should we still be staging a race that sees horses run more than 4¼ miles, jump 30 fences? In fact, with research from Animal Aid finding that 186 racehorses died as a direct result of racing in 2019, some people think horse racing should be banned. But to discuss this, I'm joined by Brendan Powell. Now, Brendan Powell actually won the 1988 Grand National on Rhyme and Reason. And Dean Stansel, who's a horse racing consultant at Animal Aid, joins us as well. Fantastic stuff. Look, absolute pleasure to have you both on the show. Really appreciate you making time for us, especially on a Friday night. Brendan, I'll start with you. Look, some people think horse racing is cruel and it should be banned. How do you respond?
Look, I'd say in the last 20 years, so many modifications have been made on this race and everything's been done to sort of make it easier for the horses, for the jockeys, for everybody. And I think now it's as safe as it ever was.
OK, all right, look, I'll flip it over to you now then, Dean. Why do you think it should be banned? It brings so many people so much joy.
Well, it may bring joy, but it also brings heartache to a lot of people as well. A lot of people are against that race, as we saw in your out and about interview. And certainly, there's certainly a movement against the race that I've seen. I've followed the race for many, many years. My grandfather was an Aintree bookmaker. And I followed the race over the years, and it still retains that ability to kill horses. We saw a horse killed last year, the Long Mile. He jumped Beecher's Brook. 2 strides later, his hind leg went because of the demands made on the horse in that race. Fewer than half the horses who take part in the Grand National have the ability to finish that race. And I know Brendan's got great experience. He's won the race on Rhyme and Reason back in 1988. But either side of that, there was a horse called Dark Ivy killed the year before in the most horrendous circumstances. The year after Brendan won, 2 horses died, C and M and Dark Tricks. And horses still dying right up to this time. But the changes that Brendan talks about in the Grand National were brought about because of campaigning by groups such as Animal Aid.
OK, but Brendan, can you see a future, frankly, where horse riding is banned? Let's be honest, we seem to be over-sanitising society every which way you look at the minute. I mean, surely it's a matter of time before the eco lot get their hands on it. I mean, would you reckon you might be virtual horse racing within a few years?
No, I don't think so. And look, everything's been done. And I know Dean is saying about horses getting killed in it. But, I mean, the likes of Dark Ivy and those, they were back in the 80s and 90s. And since the year 2000, when Beecher's Brook, the Chair, all these fences have been changed. And you got to remember, back in those days, these fences were actually made of growing trees in the middle. They've all been done away with now. There's ordinary park fences on them with some birch on top. So basically, these horses now are jumping what they would jump normally day to day. And I think, actually, if Dean had his way, all racing would be banned.
Is that true, Dean? Is that true, Dean? Would you actually ban all racing?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. When you've got over 200 horses dying a year on a racecourse, that means there's an animal welfare issue that the industry are not being able to deal with. And they consistently allow hundreds of horses to die every year on racecourses. And while that continues, how can people with any moral responsibility ever support that? And Brendan talks about the changes to the cause of the fences on the Grand National. That was brought about because of Animal Aid people like myself going to Parliament and saying these fences need to be changed. It wasn't the industry that changed them because they thought, oh, we'll do some good. It was because of public pressure.
All right, Brendan, how complicit is the horse in all of this? You do see sometimes, for example, I know, appreciate this is not the same thing, don't get me wrong. I was very lucky one time to go husky riding, right? Those dogs absolutely love it. Frankly, you can't stop them doing it. Is it the same with a horse? Is it raring to go? Does it want to, or does it need a good whipping?
No, these horses are born to do it. And if racing was banned, there'd be thousands of horses that wouldn't be born every year. We talk about horses dying. There's horses break legs in field. There's show jumping, eventing, in every walk of life with horses. there are accidents and there's horses getting killed. It's the same with dogs, with every walk of life. And if that was the case, we wouldn't be breeding horses anymore. We wouldn't be breeding dogs. We wouldn't be show jumping. You know, there's horses get killed, you know, with people riding them on a Sunday doing show jumping, etc., etc. So I think everything's been done by the BHA, the jockeys, the trainers, and the animal welfare to get this race as it is. And I think it's a great spectacle. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll never be banned.
Brendan Powell there. I'm just going to give the final word over to Dean Stansell. Dean, are you a vegan? Because if you're not, it's all a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm a vegan, yeah, sure, yeah. And we're seeing a growing...
Are you actually? Are you actually?
Are turning to veganism because they care about animals. It's quite a... Yeah, but let me just finish on a serious point about racehorses. Brendan will know that a lot of ex-racehorses go for slaughter. We filmed inside slaughterhouses of horses who've run at Aintree, run at Cheltenham, who then, the racing industry haven't even had the decency to take care of those animals that they have exploited for money and gain at their own end, and they've sent them for slaughter. That's a dirty industry, and it should be confined to history.
All right, look, we could chat about this, gents, I think, couldn't we, until the cows come home. But, Brendan, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brendan Powell there, who won the 1988 Grand National on Rhyme and Reason. And Dean Stansell, he's the horse racing consultant at Animal Aid. I enjoyed that. Let's bring the panel back in. Richard, are you a betting man? Do you have a flutter?
I'm not, actually. My dad used to race greyhounds when I was younger. He kept them, and, you know, they're well taken care of. So the other side of this is these race horses, they're top quality horses, aren't they? So they're going to be taken care of as well. So they're going to have the best treatment and everything else. I know what Dean was saying there about so many horses dying a year, but that was like 200 a year or something like that. But how many horses are racing? So you put it into context, it's a small amount. You know, and I am an animal lover. I got a little dog, I don't call it Pug. But when it comes to horse racing, you know, I know they whip them, but they've changed a lot of the laws, and so they've made it a lot easier. I don't think banning it is the right thing to do. So we've got to stop banning things all the time, you know. Just, it's a sport. I know it's a bet, it's a gambling thing as well, which is a bigger issue, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
The horses itself, it's a massive issue. But yeah, certainly I think... horse racing, listen, to me, it's for posh people, right? Aintree, I've never been to Aintree, right? I can't, you know, I'm sure, I don't know if you've been there in your heels and hat, I don't know, but I've never been to Aintree.
Absolutely not. No.
It was for posh people. I go to Ladbrokes if I want to go, and I watch it on TV, like, do you know what I mean? I'm allowed to say Ladbrokes on the show, right?
So you want, I think, pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, that's literally it. So, but don't ban horse racing.
No,
it's good.
No, absolutely. Have you ridden a horse or two in your time?
No.
No?
I haven't. I've been on a horse. It was a very ambitious project.
Yeah.
I was like 5 years old and I've never been on a horse again.
I had to go show jumping for a challenge, Christys, and can I tell you, I've got absolutely no idea how these jockeys do it, but on a slightly more serious note, look, do you find horse racing, the idea of it, a bit cruel or not?
I'd say I'm thinking about it more now, having listened to Dean's testimony there. It's something I'll certainly go away and think about. But I am here to give my opinion.
You are.
So couldn't we have some sort of nice slippers or something for the horses?
Oh.
Or perhaps like nice Ugg boots.
Right.
I think something like that's going to give them a certain cushioned defence against injury.
I think that's, knee pads for horses. We can see the campaign now, can't we?
Or maybe instead of racing on a conventional track, we have one of those big inflatables like on It's a Knockout.
Yeah.
Nobody was ever injured doing that.
No, famously not, actually. Not like that ITV programme, was it The Jump, where they had to do the skiing? And, like, literally every single contestant pretty much broke a limb.
Yeah, that was quite hilarious as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it comes with a danger warning, like, I mean, just throw him down a ski slope and launch him off into the air.
You can imagine someone coming up with that idea, can't you? That was the day that the health and safety exec was off, clearly. But, look, thank you very much, everyone who's been getting in touch throughout the show. Keep them coming. We did start at the top of it. It's been an eclectic mix so far, didn't we? On whether or not you think that there's any merit to banning the burqa, why, if you do, GBViews or GBNews.uk. We'll be going to those very shortly. And also about the horse racing as well. Are you going to be going to the Grand Nationals tomorrow? Have you put a bet on? Literally, whilst we were talking in the office before about whether or not that we should be banning horse racing, literally, as soon as we finish the conversation, my senior producer here starts giving out betting tips. So there we go. That's clearly where we're at. But anyway, we're going to take a short break now, but don't go away because in a couple of minutes, well, I tell you what, we've got what you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's the latest exciting instalment of Challenge Christys. Have I got what it takes to become a male stripper? But there's a surprise as well around the corner. Stay tuned to find out.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. And yes, it's time now for Challenge Christys. It's the part of the show where you, my loyal viewers and listeners, set me a challenge and I prove that I can do it better than anyone ever imagined. We've had boxing, we've had Irish dancing, we've had show jumping, barely, we've had a bit of wrestling, you name it. I've done it all over the last couple of months. But if you've got a challenge for me, make sure you email me, patrick@gbnews.uk. And I promise you, I've got some absolute crackers coming up in the next few weeks, seriously. But now, well, it's what you've all been waiting for, isn't it? I say that emotionally and physically, this was probably the most demanding of all of the challenges that I've done. And a warning to those of a nervous disposition that there are some scenes of male nudity on the way. Well, here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Christys here. Welcome to the latest instalment of Challenge Christys, where you, the viewer, you, the listener, get to challenge me something. You don't think I can do it, and actually I prove, yet again, that I can do it magnificently. So I don't really know where I am, somewhere in Essex. It's a bit confusing, really, as to what could possibly be going on here. Maybe a bit of scrap metal work or something, I'm not quite sure. But I was told to bring something with me, so I'll just go and grab that. But make sure whatever you do, you bring your 6-pack with you and your nice buns. So, oh, I don't even know what that is. All right, well, it says Dance with Dreamboys. Oh, what's that?
Male stripping.
What?
They're male strippers.
They're male strippers?
Yes.
Oh, OK. Sorry, I think I've got the wrong place. I'm here for the Dreamboys.
Yes, you're in the right place. Welcome, come on in. Women in charge here.
It's a women in charge?
Women in charge.
Very modern. So, what's going on here?
So this is our incredible warehouse of costume.
Yes.
That we have during the show. There's lots of things to choose from here.
Good,
Feel free to strip off, and I'm going to sort out the boys and get dancing. I'll be back.
I'll see you up there.
Have fun.
Take care. I think I've always quite wanted to be Caesar. Not sure about this one, guys. I won't be able to see out of here when all the women are screaming at me, Patrick, Patrick, sex god, we love you, throwing their underwear. Why would you dress as a cowboy and not put pants on? Why would you have a whip, right, and not any pants? Rocker. I'm just not convinced that women find this kind of thing sexy.
It's not where you wear it, mate. I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
There we go.
I do feel a bit like Nigel in this, actually. It's quite powerful. I know he wanted to strip back EU red tape, but I didn't think he had this in him as well. There's only one outfit in town. Officer and a gentleman. I think we can all agree this is spot on.
Yeah, you look right, but trousers?
I can't fit into the trousers, okay? There's a row of them over there. There's a range of sizes. All of them are tiny, okay? I can't get into the trousers. I really have to start thinking about losing some weight. I think you'll find we've fixed it. Put my old suit trousers on. We've got an officer and a gentleman. Ladies, let's dance.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. I couldn't hear over the sound of my own voice saying loud, this is who I am, this is who I am now. You know I'm brand new, feeling fresh in everything that I do. You know I'm brand new, can't be like me, no you wish you could do. You know I'm brand new, you know I'm brand new, you know I'm brand new, you know I'm brand new. I used to feel so heavy with the weight of the world on my chest, like I'm dreaming, won't put it to rest. I gotta name you, won't forget. You know I'm brand new.
Grab a chair.
Turn it round into one knee. There goes, turn it round into.
Oh, into, yeah.
Right, now what you're doing is sitting down in the chair, and then you're like slowly putting your hand down the chair. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, wait, what did you do? Sorry.
Yeah, walk, turn to face. You walk forward, you give a little wink, whatever. Walk round and spin. Stand on the chair. Bam, bam, bam. Cool.
Oh, turn.
Cool.
Sorry, yeah.
Got a lot of time. Yeah.
Let's do it.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. I couldn't hear over the sound of my own voice saying loud, this is who I am, this is who I am now. You know I'm brand new.
Lads, that's where I draw the line. Right, no, right. I've drawn the line now. I can't do that. I'm not doing that. It'll ruin me. I can't, look at him, look at me, I'm built like a bag of milk.
You're gonna have to.
Let me sink down to your level. If I'm doing this, I've got to lose a load of weight.
Yeah, do it.
But I'm just terrible at it.
Lose some weight if it makes you feel comfortable, and then come and perform with us. I think that would be a brilliant idea. In fact, if you did it for charity, it would be an amazing idea. What's your time frame?
Give me, let's say, 1.5 stone, 2 months.
1.5 stone, 2 months.
Yeah.
You're talking about like 1,000, 1,500 crowds.
You got this. Yeah.
For your debut stripping performances.
You got that.
Deal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. All for charity, baby.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, I failed this particular challenge, Christys, because I didn't want to get my kit off. But you've heard it here first. I've made a promise. I'm going to lose 1.5 stone in 2 months for charity and then perform live on stage with the Dreamboys. Yes, so that was something I did earlier on in the week. But I've committed now, haven't I? And you know what? I've struggled to lose weight, mainly because I absolutely haven't tried. But 1.5 stone in 2 months, and we're going to raise money for charity, and I'm going to perform live on stage with the Dreamboys. So I enjoy that. If you're listening on GBNews Radio anyway, of course, you can watch it right now on YouTube and on our Facebook pages. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the Dreamboys' creative director, Jordan Darrell, and also Zach Smith as well, who's one of the performers that you just saw then. Lads, thank you very, very much for joining me. Well, look, I think first things first. Jordan, I'll start with you. I mean, how good was I? Do you think I'd actually make it into one of your shows on merit?
Yes. No, you was very good. well done for giving it a go. That's mainly what it's all about, and it was all about the confidence, and you looked incredible in the officer in a gentleman's suit, so well done for that.
Thank you very much. I can honestly say to you, I am so up for actually doing this. Zach, I want to bring you in now because as anyone with eyes can see, you are bang in shape, mate. It's fair to say. And you're going to help me a little bit, I think, aren't you? Trying to shift that weight and get me into kind of match fitness.
Absolutely, brother. I'm going to make sure you hit that goal and we get that sorted for charity, bro. I've got you back. I'm an online coach, so you're safe with me, bro.
Absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to it. Jordan, just talk to me a little bit about what people can expect from the shows at the Dreamboys, because the amount of tickets you guys sell, the amount of crowds that you perform to, but also the amount of work that goes into it. It's a proper job, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's a full 2-hour experience that we provide during our shows. It sends you on quite the journey, shall we say, that you will be part for charity. It's an exciting 2 hours. It's hilarious, it's funny, it's sexy, it's slightly cheeky. And let's say a couple of our members do go all the way, shall we say, and we'll leave that rhyme right there.
Absolutely, yes. And I think we'll probably draw a line at that for me, but members is possibly the right word. Zach, how did you get into it? How did you get into being in part of the Dreamboys?
I've been dancing and flipping around for years and years and years, and Jordan, the creative director, he came to see me at another show and he just really liked what I brought to the table, so he sort of took me under his wing about 4 years ago and taught me everything I know. So yes, Jordan.
Good stuff, good stuff. No, look, I honestly had one of the best days that I've ever had there. I thought it was fantastic, and I cannot wait for this show. Jordan, roughly what kind of thing might you have me doing on stage, do you think?
Well, I definitely have to get you in that outfit, and you will be doing some choreography, I feel, with all of the Dreamboys on stage. And hopefully you're comfortable in taking some clothes off after your very hard work with Zach, and we'll get you onto the Dreamboys level. Definitely. Our audiences will love it. So will you.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't tell you how much. I think I've said that about 5 times already. It's because I really actually am. The charity side of things, we're getting sorted. It turns out there's actually quite a bit of red tape when it comes to doing something on behalf of a charity. But we will have that sorted by next week. So we'll have the specifics of that charity there. Don't worry, we'll be promoting this. I'm going to be doing a weekly weight loss update as well. But Zach, talk to me about what it's like to walk out on stage. It must be empowering.
Oh, it's the best feeling ever. Like, you are the main character in your show. We all walk out there with pride and confidence. You know, if there was ever a place for a show-off who loves affirmation to be, it is on stage at a Dreamboys show. You know, the audiences are brilliant, and the best thing about it all is you get to do it alongside your brothers. We're all family, so, you know, we get to have fun every week and just entertain to the best of our abilities. I love it.
Look, fantastic. Both of you, thank you for being so accommodating, for putting up with me as well, and for sticking with me over this journey. And we'll raise a bit of money for charity, and we'll have a cracking night at the end of it as well. I'm sure we will. And by the way, can I just tell you, both of you have got a few fans in this GBNews office behind me. Normally, when I do a Challenge Christys, OK, it might get watched by one producer, it might get watched by 2 producers. We had it watched several times by, let me tell you, crowds of people in this office. So I think you're doing all right, lads, put it that way. But Jordan Darrell there, thank you very much, creative director of the Dreamboys. And the wonderful Zach Smith as well, who's one of the performers that you just saw then. Lads, we're going to be staying in touch. You're going to be teaching me. And Zach, I'll give you a call as well, mate, and we can try and sort my weight loss out. All right, take it easy, lads. Thank you very, very much. I want to bring in my panel. Now, Vanessa, you were telling me something just off air then, actually. You used to be a bit involved with the Dreamboys.
Yeah.
Want a better phrase.
It's true. I used to host the Dreamboys show in Edinburgh when I lived in Scotland, so going back 10 years now. I used to host it all the time. So I'm very familiar. I mean, they've gone on from strength to strength and are doing like bigger theatre shows and stuff like that now. And it's always a great environment. It's similar to what I do with Drag Brunch. There's a lot of screaming women having an amazing time. Although you will be sad to hear that, like the Grand National, when the male dancers reach a certain stage of their career, they are sadly taken to the glue factory and never seen again.
Or put in a Tesco lasagna, yeah, exactly. Would you ever be seen dead doing anything like that, Richard?
You know what? I watched that and I thought that's probably your biggest challenge so far, isn't it? Because
it's massive,
to lose that kind of weight as well in that short space of time. Obviously it's for the charity, which is great, but it's going to be a lot less of this part.
A lot less of that.
A lot less of that, isn't it? You know, it is. It's a big challenge for you.
It is.
You've got some moves, though, bro. I was watching you there. You've got some moves, like. You just need refining a little bit.
It needs refining. It needs to be a bit less shapeless. I think that's the thing. Because, like I said, at the moment, I'm built like a bag of milk. And I think if I can lose a few pounds, but I actually really am quite excited for it because, to be honest with you, this is going to be a big commitment for me, ladies and gentlemen at home. Actually, genuinely, this is an everyday thing now. 1.5 stone in 2 months is not for the faint-hearted.
The other thing as well, you've got motivation for it now, haven't you? You've got something to aim for, and that's the problem. A lot of people with weight loss, I should imagine. I can't talk about weight loss. I got a barrel beer, not a six-pack.
You're doing all right.
But the point is, if you've got motivation, and you certainly have, and I wish you all the best, and where can we get tickets to watch the show?
Well,
I want to come and see it.
We're going to be sorting that out. There's quite a few people in this office. Not for me, mind. They're not coming to watch me. But as you've already heard, of course, now I am going to be performing with the Dreamboys at a live show in a couple of months' time. We're doing it to raise money for charity. We're just sorting that out at the minute. We'll get the specifics for you next week, and we can all get those donations coming in. Details of how you're going to be able to donate. We're going to post it all over the GBNews social media channels as well. I'll put them on my Twitter account. I promise to lose 1.5 stone in 2 months. It's a big challenge, but as you know, I love a challenge. The question is, though, OK, we've got to be honest and upfront about this. We've got to be transparent. What is my current weight? And what do I have to get down to? Well, the big weigh-in took place earlier today, and here's what happened. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, it's weigh-in time. It's the moment that I've been dreading. I honestly have not looked at the scales, deliberately so now, for at least the last 6 months. During that time, though, I have looked at a lot of takeaways and quite a few pints. So, yes, the damage may well have been done. But I needed some help to get weighed today. I needed someone who can really give me a hand, someone who knows about what it's like to be in peak physical condition. So, Tom Howard, how are you?
I am feeling very well. I've just got back from holiday, actually, which has been tremendous. But I gather you were on holiday, actually, recently as well.
Yeah, I was. We did it very differently there, I imagine. I didn't recognise you with your top on after all these holiday pictures that we've had. But how much do you reckon I might weigh?
I hope we're doing this in pounds and stone,
proper
imperial metrics.
Proper
absolutely.
British weight.
None of this continental stuff.
No, we're going to leave that.
So I'd say around 15.
Around 15
around
stone?
15 stone.
OK, well, fingers crossed it's less than that, although I'm not sure. Shall we do it?
Have a look.
All right. OK, ladies and gents. Gosh. Oh, God. I am so fat. So it's can't make his mind up. I think I'm 15.8. There we go. We've settled on 15.8 whole British stone.
Patrick, I said that to try and make you feel better when you came under it, but you've come. I'm so sorry, mate. I don't have any words.
So I've got to lose 1.5 stone in 2 months. So my maths is terrible. What would that take me down to? What about 15.8? Anyway, we'll figure it out. I'm sorry, I should know that really, but I'm just in shock at the weight. I look like someone who gets weighed at the zoo. OK, all right. Well, the gauntlet has been laid, and hopefully once I've dropped 1.5 of my 15.8 stone, then well, I can perform live with the Dreamboys. So there we have it. I've got 2 months to get down to 14 stone and 1 pound. Will I do it? You bet I will. Absolutely. I'm convinced that I'm going to do this now. I'll be dancing with the Dreamboys in just a couple of months. But what else do you want to see me do in Challenge Christys? I'll be honest, I can't be bothered doing the work myself, so I want you to arrange my next challenge for me. This is what I call Patrick's Promise. You set it up, you pay for it all, and I'll turn up for an hour, show I can do it better, sign a few autographs and leave. You know how it is. So go on. What are you waiting for? Email me at patrick@gbnews.uk. And who knows? You might be lucky enough to meet me. What have I let myself in for here? Anyway, now it's time for Patrick's Hat Trick, where I bring you 3 videos that have been taking social media by storm this week. So first up, it's the exchange on LBC Radio, where a Just Stop Oil activist glued his hand to the microphone. Presenter Tom Swarbrick was interviewing Nathan McGovern when the eco-protester took drastic action to make his point.
You have a massive platform. You have a massive platform, right? Oh, here we go. You have a massive platform, a microphone that you can use to tell people about the situation we're in, and you are not using it, right?
So for those of
you
you
are not using it.
For those of you listening on the radio,
someone like me, an ordinary person who is fighting for their future, is having to take the microphone in a situation like this and having to tell your viewers the situation we are in, because people like you do not.
So for those
people like you are giving as much as a death sentence to your viewers as our government is, as the fossil fuel companies are. So, and that goes for all those people. By the way, for those of you listening, wondering what the banging on the microphone was, Mr. McGovern has apparently, I think, is it glue? You seem to have glued yourself to the microphone, so that's fantastic.
Bet his mum's proud. Richard, you've been in a few sticky situations in your time. What do you make of all that?
Listen, all these kind of stop the oil people and Extinction Rebellion gluing themselves to things. Can I just be honest? I just think they're lunatics. It's balmy, it's crazy. Because what they're achieving, and lots of them as well, they're scaring young people. I've seen people over the last couple of weeks on our television screens, you're on GBNews as well, they're crying over the climate.
They are.
They think they're going to die. It's the end of the world. Chill out. Listen, it's not the end of the world. We're going to get through it. It's okay. And they're doing these extreme measures. But actually, it's not winning people over. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's putting people off, isn't it? That's my opinion.
They're not bringing the people with them. Your view, Vanessa?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's always a crazy person outside Brixton Station preaching the gospel, and there's always a person outside Oxford Circus that, like... and I always wonder, how many converts are successfully converted to the faith of these people by the ranting and raving? And I do think sometimes with some environmental activism, it switches people off and doesn't switch them on.
I agree. Look, I'm inclined to agree. Let us know what you think at home as well. But, I mean, the idea of someone massively inconveniencing my day, behaving like a little bit of a muppet and, you know, grinding the capital to a halt. We had some people swinging from a bridge today, didn't we? And, you know, with their sign, and the police have to go and deal with it. It's not bringing the public with you. But we'll move on. That was the first one of Patrick's hat-trick. One of three, of course. Now, I'm lucky enough to be blessed, naturally, with youthful good looks. And you can all see that. That shines through. And so is the man in our second video, this 24-year-old. Now, he's a homeowner, and he was asked by a delivery man if his parents were in. Check this out.
Hi, Mum and Dad in? I live here. Your house? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, brilliant. Oh, nice.
It was actually a counsellor, I should just clear up as well there. But, yeah, I mean, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, someone mentioned the delivery guy. He was actually canvassing, because local elections are in May, obviously. Yeah. He's knocking doors, and how embarrassing is that for a moment? Like, you know, it's his own house, like, you know what I mean? So anyway, don't vote Tory by the looks of it from that. Then
well, there you go. I loved that. I loved that he was there, like, you know. He paused for ages, didn't he? He was like, Mum and Dad in? And he's like, oh, no, you should have gone down the other way on that one. That was pretty embarrassing stuff for the guy, wasn't it?
I'm astonished that it's newsworthy, but here we are.
We've got a very low bar.
Is he just very small? Was he a small person, like as in short?
Yeah, well, he didn't look like the tallest chap in the world, to be fair, and he did have some youthful expressions, I suppose. But
maybe he didn't have a bottom half of clothes on, and he was trying to like peer around.
Yeah,
I got.
But it's the way he did it. Is your mum and dad in?
Yeah, yes, your mum and dad. Mum and dad in? Mum and dad in? Is your mum and dad for me? Yeah, no, not good. Not good to have. Have you ever been mistaken for someone else, Vanessa?
Cheryl Cole.
Oh, I can see it.
Yes, no, I've been mistaken for all sorts. Kate Middleton.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes when I'm in Waitrose.
Oh, well, there you go.
People don't know who I am today.
No. OK, so I'm a Manchester United fan, and so I'm very excited about the final part of Patrick's hat-trick. Wayne Rooney's son, Kai, is part of the Manchester United Academy, and he scored an absolutely brilliant goal against Manchester City. Where does he get that from, I wonder? So young Kai was playing for United's under-12s. You can see him running with the ball there. And obviously online, you can, on radio, you can go look at it on YouTube. Playing for United's under-12s. And he looked like a chip off the old block. He kind of smashes it into the top corner. He shoots, he scores. Richard, that's your motto as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You shoot, you score. I'm not a Man United fan, I'm a Tottenham fan. So this is where we have to, like, you know, separate our ways, because I've always been a Tottenham fan since I was a kid. Even though I live in Wales. Well, my second team would be Swansea City, obviously. But when I was a teenager, my friend's dad was a massive Tottenham fan. And so he was drilled into me at a young age. And I just love Tottenham. And I've been to watch a couple of games with Adam Brooks, who's a regular on Down With the Show. Yeah, he's taken me to watch a game there. You know, I love it. I love Spurs.
Do you follow football at all?
My brain naturally starts rerunning episodes of Footballers' Wives whenever people mention football. That's my only link to the beautiful game.
I love it. I love the candor. Right, so there's lots more to come between now and 9 o'clock on Friday Night Feast. We've got Dog of the Week. We'll meet our national treasure and find out why some motorists on the Isle of Wight ended up watching pornography last weekend. See you in a few minutes.
Hello again, Alex Deakin here with your latest weather update from the Met Office. A fine, dry weekend for most. Just don't expect it to be too warm. It's going to be fairly chilly, particularly so in the mornings. This is the bigger picture. We're between low and high pressure, with one low to the south that's made for a very wet day over the Channel Islands and some very windy conditions across France. But that's scooting away, and we've got northerly winds still. Not as strong as recent days, but still bringing a chill and still bringing showers over parts of England and Wales. Rain showers primarily, but some hail mixed in. Sleet and snow in the showers over northern Scotland, where it may just turn icy. For most, though, the night becomes dry and clear and cold. Temperatures close to freezing in urban areas. Rural spots will be a touch below. So, yes, a cold, frosty start to the weekend. Still a few showers over northern Scotland, and we'll see cloud increasing across the Western Isles, with some more showers coming in here later on. Snow over the Highlands, perhaps down to lower levels. A sprinkling of showers for England and Wales, maybe Northern Ireland, but for most it's a dry and a bright day. But it is still chilly, temperatures below average for the time of year, but the winds are continuing to ease down, so it won't feel quite as cold as the past couple of days. It'll turn quite cold on Saturday nights. Again, largely clear skies, still some wintry showers over northern Scotland, so again, it could be a little icy here, but generally it's a frosty but fine start to Sunday. Plenty of sunshine on offer on Sunday. Some cloud will develop through the day. Certainly for Northern Ireland, it's likely to turn grey, with the threat of a bit of patchy rain coming in here by the end of the day. But for most, it'll be dry and fine. Again, a cold start by the afternoon, double figures maybe into the teens across parts of the south where we see some sunshine, and again the winds will be light. However, that cloud coming into Northern Ireland heralds something of a change into next week. Weather fronts bringing cloud and some showers, but also coming up from the south. So after a cold few days, it does look milder next week.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss, and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls, and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate, and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christys. If you're only just tuning in, where on earth have you been? You've missed me dancing with male strippers. Yeah, you heard. Head to GBNews' Facebook and YouTube pages. You can watch that right now. It's also out on Twitter at GBNews. In the next hour, we're going to discuss Boris Johnson's decision not to rule out future COVID lockdowns. There's the weirdest stories from the last 7 days as well. And we're also going to do our very best to rehome a lovely rescued dog in Dog of the Week. And of course, Crown and National Treasure. That's all after the news headlines brought to you this evening by Bethany Elsey.
Thanks. Thanks, Patrick. I am Bethany Elsey in the GB newsroom. The UK is sending a further £100 million worth of high-grade military equipment to Ukraine's armed forces. It follows a Russian rocket strike on a train station which killed at least 50 people, including 5 children in eastern Ukraine. More than 100 others were injured in the city of Kramatorsk. 2 missiles hit the station as people were trying to evacuate. One had the words "for the children" painted on it. The Kremlin denies any involvement in the attack. Boris Johnson says evidence of war crimes is mounting and Ukraine's allies are doing more to help the country.
Today I can announce that the UK will send a further £100 million worth of high-grade military equipment to Ukraine's armed forces, including more Starstreak anti-aircraft missiles, which fly at 3 times the speed of sound, another 800 anti-tank missiles, and precision munitions capable of lingering in the sky until directed to their target.
And some news just in. The Chancellor's wife has said she will pay UK tax on her worldwide income. The couple have come under increasing pressure after it emerged that Rishi Sunak's multi-millionaire wife, Akshata Murthy, holds non-dom status, which exempts her from paying tax on foreign income. It says Rishi Sunak admitted to holding a US green card while in office. He said it was returned after he sought guidance and that he followed all laws and paid taxes in full. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has branded the man who killed Sabina Nessa an evil monster. Kochi Salamaj pleaded guilty to murder and has been sentenced to life in prison. He must serve at least 36 years behind bars. He attacked the school teacher in a park in southeast London last September. Tennis champion Boris Becker has been found guilty of 4 charges under the Insolvency Act. The charges relate to his 2017 bankruptcy and include concealing debt. He was acquitted of a further 20 counts at Southwark Crown Court and he'll face sentencing later this month. Dame Cressida Dick says she will reflect on what more she could have done during her time as Met Police Commissioner. She was cheered and applauded by staff outside Scotland Yard ahead of her last day on the job this weekend. She quit in early February after London Mayor Sadiq Khan said he lost confidence in her. And the Queen has pulled out of the Royal Maundy Church service. It's the first time Her Majesty, who's been experiencing mobility issues, will miss the annual event. She'll be represented by Prince Charles, who'll attend the service at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle next Thursday. On TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick Christys.
Now, if you thought lockdowns were a thing of the past, never to be seen again in this country, there was some bad news this morning. In an exclusive interview with GB News, Boris Johnson refused to rule out the possibility of introducing another lockdown in the future. The Prime Minister made the admission to Esther McVey and Philip Davies, and you can see the full interview tomorrow from 10 a.m. on GB News. You're not going to want to miss that, but here's a little clip of what he had to say.
I can't rule out something, Esther. I can't, say that we wouldn't be forced to do non-pharmaceutical interventions again of the kind that we did, but I think we've learnt a lot, and I think we would really try to go for the earliest possible program of inoculation and vaccination. I mean, that was the
lockdowns again.
Look, I think it would be irresponsible of any leader, in any democracy, to say that they're going to rule out something that could save life. And I believe that the things that we did saved lives. There could be, I've got to be absolutely frank with you, there could be a new variant, more deadly. There could be a variant that affects children badly, that we really need to contain. I'm not going to take any options off the table.
What do you make of that, people? Hey, a reminder that you can see that full interview from 10 a.m. tomorrow right here on GB News. So, was the Prime Minister right to say that there could be more lockdowns in future? To discuss this, I'm joined now by a legend. It's Dame Esther Ranson, who supported the measures the government took to try to stop the spread of COVID. Look, thank you very much for joining me. There's some very strong views on this issue. quite a lot of people would say that, OK, maybe the first lockdown was there innocently to save lives. But since then, it's caused a lot of people a lot of harm financially, even health-wise. Where do you stand on the idea of future lockdowns?
Well, I think everybody would prefer to do something else. That would greatly prefer to have effective medicines and other kinds of treatment that prevent it being a serious illness. Of course, we're deeply grateful for the brilliant scientists who have created the vaccines, which have protected so many of us, particularly people in my age group. And obviously, a lockdown would be a last resort. But I thought Boris, who thought I'd be saying this, was measured. I think he was logical. I didn't think he went for the easy slogan. He wasn't crowd pleasing. He was saying, I am a responsible politician, and I cannot guarantee that there won't be other mutations, even more serious mutations, maybe mutations of COVID that affect and kill children. And in those circumstances, if there was no way of preventing it, no way of protecting them, then we would have to say we will have to stay in our homes and stay separate until we've found a cure.
OK, a lot of people will be very miserable at that prospect, of course. Look, I'm sure we all would. No one really wants another lockdown. But we can see now, Esther, can't we? The actual wider consequences of a lockdown. We've had numerous reports, something like 740,000 missed referrals to people who needed to be checked for cancer. We've got millions of people on an NHS waiting list. We've got stunted early years child development, and we've got a massive economic crisis. Are all of those things ever put together going to be worth another lockdown, really?
Well, let's make it personal. I'm nearly 82. You can't be, Esther. Well, I am.
No, I was about to say that, actually. You've jumped the gun.
Sorry about that. And I live with a daughter who has very serious ME, so that if she were to catch any virus, but particularly if it was a more serious mutation, she might die. I might die. Are we worth all the terrible consequences of a lockdown? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I can see that statistically, as a nation, we do want to save lives. Boris does want to save lives. And if lockdown were to be the only way, and that's what he was careful to say, you know, try everything first. But if lockdown were the only way of saving lives, he would choose to save lives.
And thank you very much, by the way, for being as honest and open about that, about your personal circumstances. I think it's a really brave thing to have done. Given that we're doing this now, I suppose, would you be content to have a family lockdown, as it were, if it meant that wider society would continue, or do you think it would be a case of everyone looking down?
I don't know. You know, I have wonderful skills and talents, but looking into a crystal ball and telling you exactly what can happen, I'm afraid isn't one of them. So I can't tell you. But obviously, if someone said to me, Esther, you are in the most vulnerable group, we want to protect the NHS, we want to save fantastically precious resources like our RCU, please will you stay at home? I would say, of course. It would be my responsibility to do that, you know. I really feel that all of us have to take responsibility for the health of the nation. We want to prevent another great surge in deaths. So if what the scientists, the medical advisors tell us is the only way is to stay at home, well, that's what we will have to do.
Dame Esther Ranson, can I just say what an honour and privilege it is to actually interview you. You're someone who I've admired for a very, very long time, and so it's great to have you on my show. Thank you so, so much. Now, look, I know a lot of people will not agree with what Dame Esther has said there, but we have to defend her right to say it, of course, and I suspect someone who doesn't agree is just sat to my left now. It's Richard Taylor.
Yeah, well, listen, Boris on about not ruling out lockdowns. Just 3 words: no, no, no. We should never have another lockdown again. We don't need it. There was a report out a couple of weeks ago that lockdowns didn't stop COVID deaths. You know, there's a lot of research out there. I know there's on both sides.
Yeah, there's two sides to it.
At the same time, look at the impact it's had on children, their education, the impact on the economy, the cost of living right now. The reason why it's so high is not because there's a war on Ukraine and Russia. That's contributing to it. But the simple reason, they shut the economy down for almost 2 years. You can't shut an entire economy down like Boris did for those lockdowns and expect then the cost of living. And now we're all having to pay for it. Our taxes are going up, the cost of living is going up. Why? Because they shut the economy down. It should never, ever happen again. And Boris coming out and saying that today, well, the interview, the exclusive for the GBNews, which is great, by the way, for you guys. I'm just shocked that he would say that because, you know, I thought he's made some good decisions the last couple of weeks, in my opinion. But that, for me, it smacks in the face of everything I believe in, because our social and civil liberties have been fought for, and we cannot allow that to ever happen again, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Now, Vanity, the lockdowns and social distancing must have had a big impact on your line of work, frankly. You couldn't perform for people, you couldn't be in social gatherings, etc. So, where are you?
I just had to dress up like this and sing into a hairbrush. You know, I think I'm in agreement with you broadly about, well, everything you've just said. But I'm not surprised, I'm not astonished that this is what the Prime Minister is saying, or what any leader who brought in lockdowns is going to have to say. I'm not sure we're ever going to get a truly honest reckoning about the effects of lockdowns in the next decade from any government that brought them in.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
they're not going to undermine the premise of having done the right thing. For one thing, they open themselves up to an enormous sort of sense of liability for mismanagement. So they're going to have to say lockdowns were right. You're never going to get a refutation of that from this Prime Minister. So he kind of has to say he wouldn't rule them out in the future as a way of validating having used them in the past.
No, I think there's a lot of sense to that, actually. And also, like you said as well, you know, we're going through a cost of living crisis. Everyone's feeling the pinch at the moment. And again, just to add to what you said there, the idea that the government would want to come out and maybe reveal the true extent of lockdowns and, you know, add that, especially at a time when it's emerged that, you know, our Chancellor has, whilst he's not done anything wrong, of course, has certainly taken an interesting approach to tax.
Yeah, well, I think there is a public inquiry going on, isn't it? I think it finished today, midnight, last night, actually. It's the Gale Declaration I'm a signatory for. They've you know, really encouraged people to go on there, put their terms of reference in there and explain the impact that it had. And I think it's so important that they are held to account for what happened to people. Because let's remember as well, Partygate, are people really going to listen to Boris Johnson?
No.
You know, I'm not saying what he did or didn't do.
No,
My point
exactly,
is,
but...
the public mood is, you can't lock us down. I'm not being funny, you know, we've seen our TV screens. You were drinking champagne at 10 down the street, because that's the impression. I'm not saying he was, but that's the impression.
He's probably happy for another lockdown. It's probably had more parties during that period than he's having now.
I live in Wales. I got a lovely big back garden, so it was, you know, it was fine for me to a certain extent. But for a lot of people, they don't have that luxury.
And it's the knock-on effects that we're seeing now, isn't it? Pretty much across every single aspect of society. I'm particularly concerned about very young children's early years development, and I think we're going to be paying the price for that for a very long time. But we had Dame Esther Ranson on earlier on with a different view, and I can understand it because everybody's personal circumstances are different. I know people in this office, I know people who I work with, I know friends who've got vulnerable parents who maybe have got a vulnerable spouse. They will probably take a very different view on the lockdown situation than I will, or as some of the views that have been expressed here. And that's fine, but it's important to be able to express those opinions and do so in a reasonable and rational way. GBViews, gbnews.uk. Right, moving on. Bosses at Disney have vowed to become more inclusive. They've confirmed that 50% of characters and content will be from underrepresented groups, such as racial minorities and the LGBTQ community, by the end of the year. So a Disney executive has admitted they're seeking to increase diversity within the company because it's good for business, apparently. Well, are Disney right to do this? And what could it mean for actors? I'm joined now by the actor and for a Coronation Street star, and I think it's fair to say heartthrob, Sean Ward. How are you?
Behave, don't start. I'm very well, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate. Very well. Pleasure to have you on the show. Well, let's just deal with the matter in hand, really. What do you reckon to this idea now that Disney is saying that they're going to increase the level of diversity? They've said it's good for business, but they want 50% of characters and content to be from underrepresented groups such as racial minorities and the LGBTQ community. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a strong ally of the LGBTQ community. I've been going to Mardi Gras since I was young. But for me now, it's like, at what point can I don't think I can play someone who's in drag or someone who's homosexual. Would rather go to an actual person who is homosexual, and I fully understand that. But can I not play an American now? Can I not put on an American accent? Like, where do we draw the line? And just before lockdown, I was actually about to play a drag artist, so... But...
Is he there? Oh, I think we might have just lost his connection slightly. Don't worry, we can always come back to Sean. I'm sure he'll pop back up. Are you there? Are you back on, Sean? He's there. There he is. Good stuff. No, you raise an interesting point. You raise a really interesting point because, you know, now is it only people from a particular demographic, whatever that may be, who can play that role? That must be quite limiting, Sean.
Yeah, and then also if you take that into account, aren't people getting a job based on political agendas rather than talent? So like I don't know, it just say if I was up for a job against someone who was in the LGBT community, would he get the job just because of that, even though I was better, say, suited as an actor?
How have you found the way that the acting community's treated you recently? Because you were quite outspoken about some things, weren't you? I think when it came to lockdowns, etc. Is that right?
Yes, extremely, yeah. While I'm on air, I just would like to say I don't believe that 5 to 11-year-olds should be jabbed. So I'll just get that in while I can.
That's your personal view.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, just everyone's a bit too woke at the minute, and the self-censorship's real, and I just think we should all have the right to be able to voice our opinions still. And it doesn't mean we have to fall out and not be friends.
No, exactly. But it's a shame, actually, isn't it? Because it does all too often mean that you do fall out and you do lose friends. And that's something that really winds me up, actually, because that's not really where we should be. And I think that's one of the beauties of this show, and one of the beauties of this channel, for me anyway, is that we can have these kind of conversations. But do you think that actually when what Disney is saying now, for example, that they're admitting anyway that it's actually good for business, it's not even actually just a moral decision, this, is it? It's financial. It's virtue signalling.
Yeah, it is, yeah. They've said that this Gen Z is 30 to 40% more queer, so they're catering to that, which I don't know how they've got them statistics either. But it just seems a little bit of a political move rather than, and like you said, it's just business. It's just business. They don't really care about the LGBT community either.
Yeah, well, I suspect possibly not, given what they've just said there. Very, very lastly, Sean, thank you, appreciate your time this evening. How have you found it work-wise since you I suppose, gave your honestly held views about things like vaccines and lockdowns, etc.? What's been the personal toll for you? Have you lost friends?
Yeah, I mean, it's family. I get messages from family in America telling me off, and you know, I don't know how far it has really rippled. Maybe when I go for an audition, someone might say I don't want to see that man because of his views. So I'm never really going to know how much or how little, you know. But as long as everyone has the right to speak up and say what they want to say about something and not feel bullied or ashamed for it, then, you know, and also, I don't believe in what Esther just said. I have to say lockdowns have been terrible. Children can't speak. Suicide rates were through the roof. You know, the balance, the risk doesn't outweigh the balance, and the government knew all this anyway. So the mental health pandemic is through the roof now.
Yeah, there's lots of other pandemics taking place at the moment, aren't there, actually? Sean, thank you very, very much. Sean Wall, pleasure to have you on the show. And actually someone, again, whose career I followed. I remember when he was first starting out and he was belting out the tunes and everything. What do you make of this, Invanti? I mean, is this just shameless virtue signalling? Is it good? Is it progressive? Are those people, or the people from those demographics, in need of Disney getting 50% of them from underrepresented groups or whatever?
I think quotas around artistic endeavour are somehow they feel anti-artistic to me. Yeah. But I mean, I think the movie Luca was a beautiful film, which is more or less, it's about two little gay boys in a little village. And it's actually a fantastic film. And I think there's no harm in seeing more stuff like that come out of Disney. But obviously the people who pay their Disney Plus subscription are in their 30s and up. There's no 5-year-old paying the bill for their Disney Plus subscription. So the audience to whom Disney are catering isn't just the kids that are going to watch the next, Frozen. It's also a broad adult audience who feel a strong emotional attachment to that brand and want to see the values of this moment reflected in the work. I just think that the quotaization of it and the press release announcement about the quota is a little obsequious.
Yeah, it feels a bit forced, I think, doesn't it? As opposed to it being a natural, desire, frankly, which almost sucks the life out.
Yeah, of course. I think because Disney as well recently banned and they announcing people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they said no, because we don't want to have any identification of gender, we want to make it neutral. They've changed that. So I think wokeism has really seeped into Disney and is flooding in there. Even children's books. Now, we might disagree on some things, me and Vanity, but I agree with what Vanity just said. The idea of having having, to diversify, having these fringe groups represented. Why is it such a big issue? Why is Disney doing this? They don't need to do this. If you want to find alternative relationships that people, it's their choice, their sexuality, it's there. Go and find it. It's there. You don't push it and don't force it on people. That's my opinion.
Well, nobody's being forced to watch the next Pixar animation, are they?
Well, the way it's going is going to be Peter Pan sexual, the way they're doing it. It's walk mad, like. It's crazy. I mean, they're taking the mickey out of mouse, isn't they? Literally, like.
They're taking the mickey out. He's got it all, this guy. He's got it all, has he? Well, look, how do you feel about it? Have you got strong views? Are you struggling to muster the strong views about Disney? I don't particularly watch too much of it anyway, personally, but there we go. Well, anyway, GBViews at gbnews.uk. No, it's all good. Next, I'll have a good rummage around your parts. Yeah, don't worry. See, that's the level we're at. You heard, that's right. This week features John Travolta and pornography, but not at the same time. Keep your hats on, ladies. See you in 2 minutes, all right?
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Tomorrow from 10 a.m, get set for a GB News exclusive interview with Prime Minister Boris Johnson as 2 of his most rebellious MPs put him on the spot. Brexit, COVID, and now the reality of war. How does the Prime Minister look back on the past 2 years? And what can he say about having been so close to death?
I then had a pretty groggy night and went down even lower.
An exclusive interview with Prime Minister Boris Johnson tomorrow from 10 a.m. on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for Round Your Parts, where we dig deep to find some absolute gems of local news. So we start on the Isle of Wight, where motorists trying to change their electric vehicles ended up looking at pornography. So, yes, it's all rather strange. You can see it there. But a council spokesperson said the web address on the signs had been hacked and apologised to anyone who saw what they described as inappropriate content. We have to say at this point, though, that we don't know whether or not any of the drivers did indeed find it inappropriate. So I think that was worthwhile. Richard, the government's trying to get more people to drive electric cars. I suppose this sounds like a good way of doing it.
Well, it's one way of getting them to go electric, and because let's be honest, most people can't afford electric cars. So the only people who have been exposed to that pornography are really posh people, in my opinion, because I can't afford an electric car. I know most people watching at home probably can't afford an electric car, but, you know.
It's quite literally a hot take on what's been going on. Would you be more inclined to drive electric if every time you went to charge it up, something flashed up on your screen?
Yeah, why not? And I don't understand how they work. So this is actually a type of car where nothing's getting pumped. except for the people in the images.
Way, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night. It's Friday night, people. We're here. We love to see it, OK? So there we go. If you were worth a reported $250 million, would you eat at Wetherspoons? Well, that's exactly what John Travolta did in Norfolk earlier this week. I was thinking maybe the other question is why would he go to Norfolk? But no, sorry, people of Norfolk. Sorry, people of Norfolk. Travolta also posed for photos in Morrison's, where he's apparently spotted mooching around the biscuits. The Hollywood star is in Norfolk shooting a short film based on the novel by Frederick Forsyth. Vanity, you're almost as famous as John Travolta. Are you a regular down your local Spoons?
I don't love Wetherspoons. I think a good plate of nachos in Wetherspoons is fine.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no.
I like Wetherspoons.
They're sort of atmosphere vacuums, I find. They don't play music. I don't like the high tables.
Yeah.
There's often sports on. Then I have to play Footballers' Wives in my head again.
Of course you do, yeah. Well, it also very much depends on your Wetherspoons, because they've got this kind of business model of buying really quite nice old buildings, big buildings. If they get it right, it really works. If it doesn't, it can be a bit quiet. But I like Spoons, Richard, for a variety of different reasons. One of them was that it's the only place I've ever been where I've ordered a meal at the bar and it's been at the table before I've got back there.
Yeah, they've got quite a reputation. But the thing is, as well, there's a bad side of that because a lot of these small independent pubs don't like Wetherspoons coming into their communities because obviously they end up shutting down, they don't get the same business. I like going to Wetherspoons for the simple reason the beer's cheap.
It is cheap.
That is the only reason why I go there. Now, I haven't got a problem with that, I'm just saying it's cheap beer.
It's all right, mate, don't worry, don't worry. It's all right.
But the
can stop anytime he likes.
But the food is OK as well.
I'm all right with it.
It's not bad, you know. And in Wales, you know, it's been great for Wales because at least in Wales we don't pay £6.50 for a pint like you do here in London. That's what I want to say.
This is it. My local Spoons, OK, so I'm just outside London is where I live. If I went over the road here, which is a lovely bar, £6.50 a pint. If I get 20 minutes on the train and go to Spoons, they do one for £2.85. And frankly, you can't compete with that. So there we go. Right, anyway, now to Cornwall, where a local council has refused to plant daffodils because of health and safety. St Blaise Town Council, near St Austell, said it won't plant bowls because they can be poisonous to humans. But one local said, are they going to put signs up saying that you can't eat daffodils next? This is totally bonkers. Richard, you've put some strange things in your mouth down the years, I believe. Ever had any daffodils?
I can't believe you just said that. Put strange things in my mouth over the years, but we won't go down that road. But, I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? Banning daffodils because kids are going to eat them. By the way...
Well, they're not, though, are they?
We celebrate the daffodil in Wales. We love the daffodil. It's
actually, this is very personal now.
Of course it is. No, when I read that, I thought, how dare they? How can you ban the daffodil? It's part of our Welsh culture. It's ridiculous.
Actually, it is.
Yeah, it is. The leek, and we got the daffodil, and we got the three feathers, Ichdeen, which is I serve, you know, in Welsh. Anyway, I digress. But seriously, it's just a ridiculous thing. Why do you want to ban daffodils for? What's wrong with you? I'm going to get a petition campaign to get rid of that council because they should not be getting rid of daffodils.
It's actually a really good point. It is offensive to Welsh people.
It is.
I think it is.
I feel deeply offended.
Yeah, you do, and that comes across. This is nuts.
Is the daffodil banned, or are they just not planting it?
Oh, well, it's a slippery slope.
So the daffodil is being sidelined.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because I'd like to see the statistics. We found out that 200 horses die every half hour at the Grand National.
Yeah.
But now I want to know how many children have died of daffodil poisoning.
Exactly.
Because
but when the council, you know, we're fixing potholes and sorting out the housing crisis, that's what they need to sort. Why they mess with daffodils for? How dare they?
In the potholes.
And
they could put the daffodils in the potholes.
There we go. Yes, you can.
We've got a policy, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a policy. But this is bonkers. You just know it's some absolute pen-pushing Jobsworth, right, who sat there and gone, has anyone thought about just what if a child eats a daffodil? All right, well, we can't live our lives like that.
Again, because I'm always curious about how do we get these stories sometimes? And I'm like, did some council authority person sort of was there an issuance of something? Was there a press release about the new daffodil policy? How do we know about this?
Yeah, well,
Why do I know about it now?
But apparently they are quite poisonous as well. Now, I read that report as well. They're quite poisonous apparently. But
if you eat them.
But what did you do as kids? I used to eat mud when I was a kid, worms and everything. That's what you did. That's how you got natural immunity to things.
That was the Welsh way of life.
Honestly, you all right, man? Yes, no, I'm serious. My mum used to sit me in the garden like that. I'd be eating mud and everything. Listen, that's what we did as kids. Is it just me who's done that?
Yes!
Oh, my gosh.
Yes,
sorry, mum, if you're watching, I'm really sorry.
Roasted worm, a delicacy. And
you asked me what I put in my mouth, I just told you.
Oh, well, there you go. You see, we weren't wrong. We weren't wrong. OK, for our final story, I'm having a great time. For our final story, we're off to Stoke-on-Trent, where a man has got so sick of drivers breaking the speed limit, he's built a fake speed camera van. So, Rod Adcock clue might be in the name here, got hold of a van and knitted and kitted it out to look like it was a proper speed camera van, though beneath the words speed camera, he had a poster which explained that the van's real identity was not that way. So he posted a video on TikTok that has had more than 1 million views. Have a look at this.
Now, I can't make speed humps because I ain't got tarmac and stuff. We've already got some of those speed flashy things, but they don't seem to be working. One thing that does look like it does the trick, speed camera van. Now, I can't get a real one. Can I make my own? First step was get a van. Check. Now, I need some of those reflectors to make it look all proper and stuff. Check. High-vis, because that makes everything look official. Check. Speed camera sign. Get the high-vis on, park it right at the top of my road, sit back with my phone and see what happens. And it couldn't have got much better. This one sounds like it's shifting. Oh, that one's going fast. That's going to be some brake lights. There we go, on the old brakies. Go on, slow down, lad. Go on, lad, get them brake lights on. We can get the rearview mirror. There we go. There we go. And you're going to have a go as well. Oh, there we go. It's definitely the ones going down the hill that seem to panic a little bit more. Like, are we going to get some brake lights here? Yeah. He didn't want to have to answer to his boss there, did he? Oh, that one sounds like, yeah, there we go. Anchors on, anchors on! This sounds fast. This sounds fast, it is. Oh, and it's a lorry, that's bad. Oh, and there's those anchors. He's worried about that licence. Oh, are we going to have some brake lights? Are we going to have some brake lights? Oh, you can almost feel the remorse. Oh, he's in Panic City.
I hate him. I absolutely hate him. Is it me, or did he just seem to enjoy that rather a lot? I think a lot more than he should have done. A bit bonkers. Do you reckon he's the kind of guy who goes on a date and he's like, oh, let me show you this video of what I got up to the weekend. You'll never guess this. And then he just never sees her again.
I think the whole thing with that, right, to me, it's a big money-making scam. I know the police, you know, it's not the police that should run it. It's some contract out there for these speed cameras. But if he lives in that community, so I'm going to argue with you.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, if you live in a community, like in Wales, like they brought in the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in residential areas with their children and everything else, right? And a lot of my people that follow me on social media are going to hate me when I say it. I actually agree with it. In some certain circumstances, where it's built up areas, you should have that. I think if you live in the community, I know he was taking a mick, he's an idiot in my opinion, but the idea of actually slowing vehicles down, because speed does kill. No, I've been in accidents and it does. So I think, you know, what he's doing is pathetic, but at the end of the day, I think these speed cameras anyway, they sneak, they hide behind places, lanes and all. That's sneaky, like, and it's all about the dollar, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a story which was one of my favourite ever news stories, OK? So this bloke, I believe he was terminally ill, right? It gets happy, don't worry. And he decided, look, I've had enough. I've had enough of all the rules and regs in my life at the minute. I've not got long left. Screw it, I'm just going to go for it. So he's always wanted to moon a speed van. So he saw one, he got out of his car, he's dropped trowel, he's mooned it, he's got back in his car, and then about 20 minutes later, 6 police officers are round at his house, muller him into the dirt, they arrest him and everything. Meanwhile, you know, crime's going through the roof, this, that and the other. I don't know, it just seems like we've got our priorities all wrong.
Yes, and I have to say, a man in a white van can be inviting.
Oh, well, I think we've probably got his number if you want.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure we could repurpose that van to other ends.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sad way to spend the weekend.
It is, isn't it? It is. Yeah. But anyway, I suppose, look, there's two sides to it, isn't there? He's doing his community a favour. He's a massive loser. Anyway, at the start of the show, I spoke about the possibility of the burqa being banned in the UK. Now, lots of you have got in touch to give your views, and it's time for Postperson Pat, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So, Rob says, let them wear what they want. However, it does sometimes disadvantage them in some circumstances. As a doctor, I found it very difficult to communicate with ladies wearing a burqa. You cannot assess their feelings or emotions, and it makes things very difficult. I think that's a really important point, actually, I must say, Rob. Thank you very much for getting in touch with that. It is difficult, and it must be tricky as a doctor as well, because sometimes, especially, hey, if you're dealing with things like abuse in the home or whatever, you can actually read a bit maybe by someone's facial expressions, and, you know, if you can't do that, that could be tricky. Tony's been in touch. Tony says, it's not British. In Islam, women are second-class citizens. This is Tony's view, of course. In defence of Islam, the religion is 700 years behind Christianity. He says, ban the burqa in Britain. Now, OK, all right, I know that lots of you won't agree with that. Some of you may do it. It's strong stuff from Tony, but it's a view, I suppose. It's a view. Mike says, we are an open-faced society. Muslim women are being subject to a misogynistic ideology. Again, it's their view. The attitude has no place in the UK. Now, it is a tricky one, really, isn't it? Because I did raise the point earlier when I spoke to an imam on this exact issue, and I said, look, one of the questions for me about it is I think live and let live. I think allow anyone to wear whatever they want and do whatever they want, frankly. But if it's being forced, then that's an issue. That's a human rights issue. And when you look at a lot of countries on the Amnesty International watch list or human rights watch list, they are, you know, Middle East and places like that, quotes unquote Muslim countries. If women in those countries are wearing the burqa, is that because they're forced to do it? And if it is, then that can't be right. But there we go. Anyway, Jen says, I think we need to stop thinking that women are suppressed by having to wear a burqa or hijab. So the other side of it then here, ladies and gentlemen. Women in the Western world, where we are professing to be so liberal, should let women make their own minds up. If you are of a faith, to wear a head or face dressing, you may feel comfortable. Maybe we should leave this to individual choice of the woman in question. And you know what? I think that's absolutely fair enough. That's kind of the point I'm making, really, if it is an individual choice. We're going to go now over to a bit of horse racing. So, with the Grand National taking place tomorrow, we also debated whether or not horse racing should be banned. One person got in touch to say horse racing must not be cancelled. Should we ban rugby, as many rugby players have suffered brain damage? Cricketers have died from being hit by a ball. Ban Formula 1, ban, leave horse racing alone. I suppose maybe this is just another element of cancel culture. It's interesting, I think, that view, isn't it, really? Because there are other sports. Although I suppose, just bring the panel in here, why not, you know? I suppose rugby players aren't dying at the same rate as horses.
Well, certainly not the same rate as horses, but they've brought loads of safety measures into rugby. You know, if you get concussion or a head injury, same as football, you know, they go off and get inspected. So there's health and safety around all those issues. But as one of the viewers was saying there, ban, that whole thing, we shouldn't be, stop banning things. What's wrong with people? Let people make their own minds up. They're mature enough, you know?
Well, that's it. And it is that question of tolerance, I suppose, isn't it? Or lack of, potentially, in society.
I would just say that the comparison with rugby players, I would say that an animal rights position would be that the rugby players do consent to play rugby. You know, this is the crux of the debate around animals and ability to consent.
And the rugby players are paid horses, aren't they?
Well, not as far as I'm aware, no. You can't pay a horse, no.
Equal pay for our equine colleagues. I think a point, by the way, to make about the burqa thing again, although we may be moving on, but the term forced, the word forced, I think it's about norms. I mean, there's a reason why you're not wearing a skirt, Patrick. It's not because that you've been forced to wear a suit, but you do wear a suit because it's a norm, and this is something that you've maybe not reconsidered, because why would you think about wearing a skirt? But it is something that in my line of work I have to think about. Why do we wear certain things? You know, as RuPaul said, we're all born naked, the rest is drag.
Top of wearing a skirt, you're going to be stripping off soon.
Absolutely, that's true. That's true. Well, just about. We'll see. OK, moving. Get back to the email. So JW says, horse racing is fine, but maybe it's time to make it flat only, or have low fences to make it interesting but less risky. Maybe nothing above 3 feet. Having jumps of 6 to 7 feet is like old cavalry riding. Now, in case you missed it, this week's Challenge Christys saw me dance with a group of male strippers, and I've promised to lose 1.5 stone in 2 months before I perform with them live on a stage show. Lorna loved it. I mean, she's only human. Dear Patrick, I'm sure that you will be you're great at learning and doing the dance routines. You look great just as you are. Dancing itself is a great way to exercise for free. Wishing you the very best of luck. Thank you, Lorna. Now, there's lots more to come here between now and 9 o'clock. We're going to meet this week's National Treasure. We're also going to be rehoming a rescue dog and our popular featured dog of the week. But first, here's a little question for you, OK? How many calories are there in a Big Mac and medium fries? OK, so a Big Mac and medium fries, how many calories? I'll give you the answer in just 2 minutes.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, PO Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
On Mark Dolan tonight, my Mark Meets guests are the legendary comedy double act, The Crankies. We'll talk about their long career in showbiz, how they got their big break, just what makes their relationship tick, and what they think of modern comedy. The Crankies, live at 10. In The Big Question, should restaurant menus display a calorie count, or is this the nanny state gone mad? Plus my all-star panel, and in my big opinion, sorry Boris, the public won't put up with another lockdown. See you at 9.
Right, welcome back, everybody. Now, before the break, I asked you, how many calories are there in a Big Mac and medium fries? The answer is 830. I think I thought it'd be more than that. Bear in mind that the recommended daily calorie intake is 2,000 calories for women and 2,500 for men. So I suppose when you put it in that context, it will come as no shock to anyone that I don't really know my way around a calorie counter. But that leads me nicely and neatly onto this week's edition of Patrick's Fake News, when I make up a story and ask the great British public what they think of it. So, on Wednesday, a new law came into force in England that forces food outlets with more than 250 employees to show calorie content on their menus. So I told people in London earlier today that the law had actually gone one step further. But did they believe me? Find out now. There's a new law that's coming into place that limits the amount of calories you're allowed to eat at a restaurant, OK? Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not being funny, but I mean, if it's an app that's going to do this thing, then that's really good. Because the majority of the time, she don't even know what you're eating, that's it.
It's so bad for like mental health and like eating disorders and stuff. I think it's going to change like so much stuff.
I'm not really a calorie watcher, so to be honest, yeah, then I wouldn't really want that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so, you know, the idea that someone could go, sorry, sir, you've had the burger and chips, you can't have the ice cream. I mean, you're a grown man.
Exactly, so, yeah, that doesn't sound like something I'm in favour of.
You're going to end up with an awful lot of people getting really, really offended because you're making an assumption on what their diet is and what their calorie intake is.
I wouldn't have thought they're going to start capping our food intake.
No?
No, we don't live in a dictatorship, do we?
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting.
It's seen straight through me. One person didn't believe me. One person. Still, I'll never forget that first week that I did it when I told people that aliens have visited Earth and no one cared, which I thought was quite interesting. It's an insight, isn't it? A window into the British psyche. Would you have fallen for that, Vanity?
No, I wouldn't have.
You're clued up, aren't you? You're razor sharp.
I am razor sharp. I also would have guessed the McDonald's calorie count. I guessed 900, but that's pretty close. That's pretty close. Mostly fat, I'm going to guess.
Probably, but isn't it just succulent?
No, I wouldn't have fallen for that, but I'm pleased that people are pushing back against it, you know.
I am, yes, it's nice to know, isn't it? OK, right, without further dither and delay, it's time now to meet this week's national treasure. And it's a man who's helped teenagers to prepare for exams and to better themselves, but he also counts Premier League and the Queen's Bank coots among his clients. And he's even helped Joe Wicks break a world record. Ladies and gentlemen, strap yourselves in. It's Steve Salis. He's a mindset and leadership expert, and he's the founder of Solutions Mindset. And I'm delighted to say here he is. You can see him right there. He joins me in the studio right now. Look, what we always do, first and foremost, there's only two of us in the studio as the audience right now, but you get one of these for being our national treasure. Well done, sir. Well done. Right, well, just inform our viewers, our listeners, our online viewers, exactly what it is you do.
Well, help people in life with mindset, leadership conferences and speak around the world. Just trying to help people have a better life, Patrick, to be honest.
So what's some of the tactics that you use for that? Because you must see people go from, I don't want to say nothing, that sounds a bit insensitive, but, you know, to really get the best out of themselves.
One thing I'm really going to press with in football and non-football environments is super strengths. What are people brilliant at? What are their X-factor traits? So particularly I've got a schools project which has hit 60,000 kids in the last 2 years, and it's called My Future Self. So will your future self thank you for the decisions that you make today? And really getting people with a more cognitive toolbox to be able to upskill themselves to have a more better life with marginal gains and 1%ers and just really knowing what you're brilliant at.
Yeah, fantastic. And you must get a lot of joy yourself out of seeing people really improve.
Well, I was a school teacher for 17 years in inner London, so I worked in 4 failing comprehensives and tried to make them less failing with not just myself, I call it we, not me, these great teachers and mentors that I work with along the way to try and help South London's kids have better lives. So that was my original journey, yeah.
Fantastic. And so what really made you want to get into that then? Was it just the fact that you've always had some kind of sense of wanting to help better people?
Well, the moral of the story is we're always myth about society. Teachers are meant to change kids' lives, but an ex-pupil called Chris Efer, he'll like this, he messaged me when I was a vice principal and he said, Mr Salis, have you seen the job going in professional football at Millwall Football Club? And if he doesn't text me, I'm not here today to tell the story. So when I helped him when he was 12, I didn't think 25 years later he'd changed my life, and he did.
That's fantastic, actually, isn't it? It's that kind of what goes around comes around attitude, and if you kind of put a bit in the tank now, you never know, you might reap the rewards of that later. What would you say some of your biggest achievements have been, really? Is there anything that really stands out?
Well, I was bottom set at school, so that was probably my drive and my passion. I was a failed footballer, so really my successes have been my failures and bouncing back. So part of my world is bouncing back loads of times and giving those people and the young kids, particularly, the toolbox to know that failure is only feedback. It's not final.
We've got a lot of people in this country at the moment who will be struggling. Huge amount of people. We just talked before, didn't we, about some of the impacts of the lockdown, some of the impacts of coronavirus in general. We've got a mental health crisis, got a cost of living crisis. A lot of people might be struggling to see the wood for the trees at the moment. What would you say to them?
Mental health's huge. I think we all know about looking after yourself in terms of your diet and your nutrition. And I'll just say marginal gains. Be kind to yourself every day is one of the biggest things I can say. And everyone, being kind to themselves is just a small step to a better life. I think we know the science around exercise. If you go to a doctor, as a modern day doctor, it's going to say, do you smoke, do you drink, and do you do exercise?
Yes, no.
A lot of common sense approach to a better life, Patrick. It has to be pragmatic at times, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Now, I can see there's a book there in front of me. Let's go to it. What is it? Come on, let's get it out.
I'll show the audience.
Plug. You can, absolutely.
Where is it? Yeah, that camera. Educating football. It's basically not about football whatsoever. I just put football in the title to sell copies.
And it's a relief to me because every time I hear football, I just start playing episodes of Footballers' Wives.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I think if you've got, you might have shares in Footballers' Wives. The amount of time that you've mentioned it on this show. But what is it about?
It's about life. Self-awareness is the biggest issue. Self-awareness. People are not aware of their behaviour. They're not about how they act. They don't know how they interact. I talk about that at a really deep level, but also breaking this stuff down so we can eat it for breakfast and people can go, wow, I didn't think I was like that, and making sure we're more aware to know our super strengths again and look at our areas of development and how we have that sort of avenue to be successful.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you were here hanging around a little bit earlier on. You may well not have been. You might have been on your way in. I've got a bit of a challenge that I'm trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
On the grapevine, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to lose 1.5 stone in 2 months. And then also, on top of that, I've got to go on stage and dance with the Dreamboys. To be honest with you, I'm quite scared about that anyway, actually, really. What would you say to me is not motivation? Because at the minute, I hold my hands up. I find it very easy to nip to the pub. I find it very easy to just, have the odd dart, as it were, and actually I need to pull my finger out.
Well, will your future self thank you for drinking 10 pints a night or, not feeding yourself with good fuel and not doing exercise?
No.
Exactly.
Right, fair enough. But, I mean, it's like getting up every single day. You know what my biggest thing is? It's temptation, right? And it's not just going to be about me going, future Patrick won't appreciate this. Because I think part of me goes, future Patrick will write it off. He likes old Patrick,
Yeah, and I think, again, is that being kind to yourself, Patrick? It's not being kind to yourself, is it?
No.
So I think probably get up in the morning, maybe don't have a drink tonight and go and get your tracksuit on and have a run.
Good stuff. Well, look, mate, go on.
Steve, I was going to ask you, so it sounds to me like I'll be very interested to read the book. How much of this with the people you've worked with is actually about confidence?
Yeah, it's finding I do a lot of work on blind spots. So it's finding what your X factor at. And I suppose the key to my work is I bring a science to my work. So instead of having loads of opinions, I'll try and bring as much facts as I can with all the research that I've done and all the learnings that I've done. So,
well, look, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming in the studio. You get another one on the way out, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Steve Salisbury is our national treasure. Well done. He's been helping people since day dot get to be their very best selves. He's even just helped me live now. So thank you very much. Massive honour to meet you, my good man. Keep up all the good work. Right. It's time now for Dog of the Week. It's a shift in tone, Steve. Where we tried to rehome a rescue dog, and tonight we're asking if you can give a lovely home to the even more lovely Cherry. So, there we go. Cherry's there. For our radio listeners, get yourselves online right now or turn your telly on. Cherry hasn't had the easiest start to life, but if you're watching, of course, like I said on GBNews, on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that she's a very lively girl. There she is, bouncing around. She loves her food. Now, she's a Mastiff Cross who was abandoned and is now in the care of All Dogs Matter, which is a fantastic, fantastic dog rescue service. Now, to find out more about Cherry, because there's a little bit of a twist in the tail with her, see what I did there? I'm joined now by Ira Moss from All Dogs Matter. Fantastic stuff, Ira. Thank you very, very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Tell me a little bit about Cherry.
So Cherry was picked up as a stray by the Dog Warden Service in northeast London a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, she was one of the more severe welfare cases that we've seen recently. You can't really see on the video that you're showing, but if there's a close-up of her, Cherry is called Cherry. There's a bit of a pun in it because she has two cherry eyes, and cherry eye is something that's quite common in Mastiff breeds where the basically the glands pop out. There we go. The glands pop out of the eyes. Most dogs, if they're going to get a cherry eye, have one cherry eye, but she's got two. And this would have the result why they look so sad and poor there is because they've just been left for probably months on end. And eventually the glands pop and she would have gone blind had she not come into our care and been picked up by the Dog Warden Service. She has to be a vet. She's on drops before we start treatment. But yeah, it's a pretty bad case.
Well, how treatable is it? Okay, because look, I know, you know, it sounds really insensitive. This is not the case, but you'll be aware. A lot of people might have seen that, and it looks quite shocking, doesn't it? It looks quite striking, but it is treatable, isn't it?
It is, but because it's been left, it's quite severe. That if that would have been treated probably a couple of months ago, it wouldn't have looked that severe. But unfortunately, it's both eyes. So if it had been left any longer, it would have left, or it could still lead to blindness. And most dogs can manage with one eye, but if she loses the two, that's quite drastic for her. And she'll have to see a specialist. It's not something that an ordinary vet can do. It is a sort of specialist operation. You know, she needs to see a dog optometrist.
All right, just tell me a little bit about, I'm sorry, so we are very pressed for time now, which is my fault entirely, sorry, but tell me a little bit about Cherry. So she's lively, is she good on a walk, what kind of home can she go to?
Yeah, she's about 6 months old, she's lively, she's a Mastiff. With like all dogs we're saying at the moment, please research the breed you're going to get, look into what you're going to get. Dogs are expensive. We will treat her. She'll need 2 hours exercise a day and quite a bit of training to make up for what she's lost in the past.
Perfectly understandable. Right, now, how do they get in touch? Come on then, quickly. All Dogs Matter, how do people get in touch? The nation will have fallen in love.
alldogsmatter.co.uk. You can go on our website if you'd like to donate towards Cherry. We've got a donate button. If you'd like to inquire about her, go on our website and we can give you more information.
Look, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the time. I'm so sorry it was really short and sweet, but I do this every week. I'll just run out of time. There's so much going on. Thank you very much. Please, 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 people, do try to see if you can give the wonderful Cherry a home. Terrible first 6 months of her life. Come on, the rest of it doesn't have to be like that, does it? Get in touch and get Cherry a home. Right. Has anyone got a taxi for Christys?
Taxi for Christys.
Well, that's my cue to leave the building and head off home. But this was, of course, the week that renowned cat kicker Kurt Zuma was caught eyeing up another potential victim. Look at that, there we go. Fantastic spot from whoever sent that one in. Now, well, friend of the show, Tom Skinner, resorted to desperate measures to sell a mattress. Bosh, there he is. Hey, I tell you what, I'll be doing a little bit of that at some point soon, won't he? As any man would say himself. Now, remember, I want your suggestions for next week's Challenge Christys, OK? Email me, patrick@gbnews.uk. Thank you to my wonderful panellists. We've had Vanity Von Glow on the show. We've had the amazing Richard Taylor as well. And thank you at home for watching and indeed listening. I'll be back Monday, 10 a.m. with To The Point. And of course, Friday Night Feast returns 7 p.m. next Friday. The brilliant Mark Dolan is with me next. Have a great weekend. Take it easy.
Hello again, Alex Deakin here with your latest weather update from the Met Office. A fine, dry weekend for most. Just don't expect it to be too warm. It's going to be fairly chilly, particularly so in the mornings. This is the bigger picture. We're between low and high pressure with one low to the south that's made for a very wet day over the Channel Islands and some very windy conditions across France. But that's scooting away and we've got northerly winds still. Not as strong as recent days, but still bringing a chill and still bringing showers over parts of England and Wales. Rain showers primarily, but some hail mixed in. Sleet and snow in the showers over northern Scotland, where it may just turn icy. For most, though, the night becomes dry and clear and cold. Temperatures close to freezing in urban areas. Rural spots will be a touch below. So, yes, a cold, frosty start to the weekend. Still a few showers over northern Scotland, and we'll see cloud increasing across the Western Isles with some more showers coming in here later on. Snow over the Highlands, perhaps down to lower levels. A sprinkling of showers for England and Wales, maybe Northern Ireland, but for most it's a dry and a bright day. But it is still chilly, temperatures below average for the time of year, but the winds are continuing to ease down, so it won't feel quite as cold as the past couple of days. It'll turn quite cold on Saturday night. Again, largely clear skies, still some wintry showers over northern Scotland, so again, it could be a little icy here, but generally it's a frosty but fine start to Sunday. Plenty of sunshine on offer on Sunday. Some cloud will develop through the day. Certainly for Northern Ireland, it's likely to turn grey with the threat of a bit of patchy rain coming in here by the end of the day. But for most, it'll be dry and fine. Again, a cold start by the afternoon, double figures maybe into the teens across parts of the south where we see some sunshine. And again, the winds will be light. However, that cloud coming into Northern Ireland heralds something of a change into next week. Weather fronts bringing cloud and some showers, but also coming up from the south. So after a cold few days, it does look milder next week.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss, and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900.